Hello and welcome to week 5. Excited to dive into this week's content and ideas and information that we'll cover this week. So the main theme is interests, and interest has a long history in career development, career exploration, and we'll be leading into that with some of the important things that they've been reading in the book and assignments they've done in weeks past as well. So let's just jump right in to the assignment navigator for week 5. We can see what they're to do as they come to class. They're reading chapter 3 in the book, which is the heresy that only lucky people have a calling in life. Now, we know that we are all children of a Heavenly Father with a divine calling and a purpose on this earth. So we can't believe that only lucky people find a calling in life. So important doctrines, great content in there. I'll show you some resources that can launch your book discussion as you get into that. Their reading and discussion for this week has some really interesting prompts to it. At the end of chapter 3, which is on page 35 in the book, you'll find the What to Do Now section, which has different activities the students have an option to choose from for their discussion post. One of the activities is that they find out that they've inherited a large sum of money, that they can have as much money as they would ever need in life, as long as they choose right now what their life's work is going to be. So it's a really interesting reflection they can do. Another activity is to just generate a list of topics of projects they would be interested in volunteering for without pay, news media that catches their attention, and under what circumstances they feel strong emotions about other people's needs. So the different kind of reflection that has a similar what is really interesting and important to you right now. It does have a great connection to the topic for this week of interest. There are a few other options as well, but those two main activities are listed in the chapter. So as you see those discussion posts coming in, you might find one that you want to share or find some way to have them share in their groups what they chose and what that was like for them. Another resource that's going to be critical for the in-class time of week 5 is this quick paper RIASEC test. So I've got a copy of that here. They are going to need to print and bring a copy of this because they're going to fill out these bubbles. There's going to be time given in class to go through this assessment. Really like this one. There are multiple interest tests. There's one as a part of type focus, which they're also doing in the course. But this one is very simple. It's if you agree with the statement, fill in the circle. So if you agree, I like to work on cars, you fill it in. If you don't agree, you don't fill it in. So they're simply just filling in bubbles. There's 42 items. They add up the 2 columns for RIASEC, sum those here in the grand total, and they pick the top 3 scores and put that in their interest code. If there's a tiebreaker, you just encourage them to come up with some kind of tiebreaker between their first and second or second and third letters. So that being said, this is something they will need to print. You can make an announcement about this. You can post it in an announcement. You can go get this attachment, which is right here in the before class. You can download a copy, attach it. You can even just copy this link right here, post that in an announcement, and it will map to that worksheet as well. So lots of options for sharing that and giving them a reminder. So let's move to what they're doing in class and talk a little bit about that. So in class, I'm going to pull up some of the slides here. The Zookeeper's Secret, Chapter 3, Only Lucky People Finding a Calling. There's a great video that's been produced. It was produced actually here at BYU, Idaho. It's a little longer, but I think it's worth the time. It's called You Have to Keep Moving. So in Chapter 3, there's a story of a daughter and a father playing catch with a ball, and it falls off the porch into tall grass. So the dad stays up on the porch and can see where the ball is, and the daughter's down below looking for the ball and can't see it. And the dad creates a game called hotter or colder. If you go closer to the ball, I'll say hotter. If you get further from the ball, I'll say colder. And as they do this and as this unfolds, the daughter is wandering around, sometimes hotter, sometimes colder. And eventually she just sits down and just says, just tell me where the ball is. And due to the rules of the game, I can't tell you where it is unless you're moving. If you're moving, then I can tell you you're getting hotter. And so eventually she finds the ball and she is excited that she found it and everything. But I think that's an important lesson of you have to keep moving. You have to keep trying things. We talk a little bit about the scientific method, this trial and testing and figuring out what you like. And so as you do things you like and enjoy, I'll give you that warmer or hotter feeling. As you do things that you don't enjoy, I'll give you that colder feeling. I think that's a really interesting way to apply that analogy to our topic of a few weeks ago, Revelation, and bring that into this lesson as well. And connecting it also to interests. Things you enjoy, things you like, you're going to feel warmer or hotter about those things. Things you're not interested in, you're not going to like. As we get talking about that, it reminds me that in the outline of this week, there's a section called supporting content. As you read through, this is like 2 pages of stuff, we've compiled some great quotes, some background, some of the theory involved in interests. So if you want a good review of how to look at interests in career development, career decisions, we've included some of that here. It's not in the slides. It's not in the student-focused side. It's really just for you to deepen your understanding of what interests are. An important concept here, we put it in bold. A good case can be made for viewing interests as an emotion. So it's not just, oh, a state of mind, like I kind of enjoy these things, but there's an emotional attachment to interesting activities. So I encourage you to read through this and see why it makes that point. There's also some information about career assessments. So they're one doing a small RIASEC test in class, and after class they're completing the type focus assessment. So understanding a little bit about assessments can be helpful, and there's some information about those here. So back in the slides for this week, with that video, there's making decisions. How do you do it? How do you figure things out? How do you try stuff? Elder Scott gave this great approach to 2 ways to find truth. One's the scientific method. You can, through experimentation, find out what's right, what's true. And then he also says that revelation or inspiration is the best way of finding truth, since that is the source of all truth. So finding a balance between those two, so that the trying things and the revelation really connects well to the video. With when things are hotter or warmer, you try things, then you feel inspiration or revelation. When things aren't going so well, you'll have that cold feeling. So there's a way to tie all of this conversation together and bring it into your book discussion. There's a chart here of the steps of the scientific method. I think it's important to help them understand that step 1 is, what's the problem? And the problem for a lot of people in this course is, I want to know what career I should choose. So if you have a question of what career would be the best fit for me, my personality, my interests, my values, what would be the most fulfilling career for me? That's a very different question than, what would be a career that I could go into that makes a lot of money and that I don't have to work very hard and I don't have to work very many hours in the week? Those are 2 very different questions or problems that someone might be trying to solve. and the scientific approach to those two questions or problems would be very different. So information about that, and you can go into that deeper or less deep. It's just there as something you can do to build on. It's nice to review the career exploration model. There's just moments and opportunities to bring that back into the classroom. And as you dive into the Holland hexagon, this is one way to view the 6 types of RIASEC. This particular hexagon gives you 4 areas: things, data, people, and ideas. And then it gives you a few prompt words for what the RIASEC stands for. There's also these nice pictures that came from one of the church self-reliance manuals. And I like to give these as, look at, these are ideas, these are activities that are realistic. You can see a lot of hands-on work. These are ideas about research and investigation. These pictures represent that kind of work. So you can use these pictures to describe the 6 types. There's some nice descriptions in the outline that you can go through and mention. And that's all as a lead up and as a preparation for them to take the RIASEC test. So you can provide time. You can set a timer if you want. This test usually would take around 7 to 10 minutes, and they should have a RIASEC code at that point. So giving them time to work through those questions, add up their numbers, and come up with their code. Then you would, this slide is a great place to customize and put your own code in. So I would recommend you take the test there. If you already know your Holland code, that's great too. See what it comes up with and put your letters in there as an example. After you have those letters, there's a couple of descriptive charts here that show of the letters what might be fields of study that someone might go into if that's a letter that's a priority. We also mapped out the colleges and departments here on this slide, and there's a download in the navigator as well that they can pull up this particular chart on with a link to the catalog. The application activity for what do I do with my score really is in going to the ONET online and entering your 3 letters and seeing what careers it pulls up. So this is a very specific connection of, okay, I know my interest code, what careers match that? So I'm going to jump back to the instructor resources for this day. So if you go to the teaching notes for week 5, the have to keep moving videos there, the ONET website is there. I've recorded a 90-second video for how to enter your 3 letters at ONET and how you might go through those really quickly. In the outline, it shows that it's optional to show this in your course. You can just study it and be prepared to give that approach. You can show the video I've recorded as well. It's a similar video to this one, so that's there for your use. And the handout they can download afterward is also included here, and it's in the navigator for them for after class. What do I do with this interest code now? And this Holland and BYUI majors lists out a lot of the connections of with what Holland code, what majors are available at BYU Idaho. So that's there as a resource as well. There's quite a lot going on with this lesson. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of theory. There's some assessments involved. But it's a great lesson, a great opportunity for them to start thinking of, what am I interested in? What sparks an emotional reaction for me when I think about these activities and these possible career paths? In the journal after this class is going to be the submission of their type focus report. This link takes them to type focus. They enter a code and it gives them access. There's an instruction sheet right here that shows them how to download the report that they're going to submit. And they submit that report as their journal number 5. So looking forward to you teaching interests and going through these with your class this week. Let us know if you have other questions, and we'll talk to you soon.